Good afternoon. Welcome to the big wide open. No, this is not the wide open. This is the back garden. I just felt to do something a little unusual or different today. Give you kind of a feel of being in nature, okay? And seeing, we can just be part of everything that's out here instead of everything inside our heads or inside our houses or inside our rooms. And welcome, to episode 2, all right? The big split. Or can we all possibly get together, and get along? Well, it's Thursday afternoon here in the United Kingdom, and it's May 7th or May 8th. I can't remember. I think it's May 8th, day after the full moon. And that was a whopper of a full moon in Scorpio. And, I'm going to be quite honest. Woke up feeling like I had a hangover. Don't know if anybody else is feeling aches and pains or discomfort of any kind. But we've had a very dynamic full moon or lunation this time. Around the same time all this is happening, we're getting a lot of retrograde outer planets happening. If it's not happening now, it's certainly happening in the wake of this full moon that is supposedly commemorating the birthday of Gautama Buddha, Siddhartha, which was his original name. And I don't follow Buddhism much anymore, but for those who are in that into that sort of thing, then this is a time of celebration. Welcome one and all if you're joining just now. The consensus I feel so far, I'm just going to continue with these afternoon. Hi Trish, how you doing? Continue doing these in the mid-afternoon UK time and see how it goes. But I may go back to morning and making it a morning coffee show, a morning coffee clutch, if you will, rather than an afternoon break. Whatever the case may be, I'm experimenting here, so we'll see how the afternoon situation goes, and for another week or so, and I may just revert back again to having a 9:30 or 10 o'clock coffee talk. All right. The subject matter that I picked for today, I had a struggle, to be honest. I guess it was the full moon. Struggle with coming up with something certainly topical. We see on social media, we see in the mainstream media, we see in the dialogue of people, there's a great deal of polarization continuing to happen. In fact, it's growing. And a lot of people are disconcerted by that. They say, okay, we're all into this together. Why can't we, realize the oneness that we are? And at the quantum level, it is all one. It is never not one. It never has not been one, okay? I think that's one thing to take away from all this. Greetings, everybody. Hi, Jane. Hi, Jody. Welcome. The thing that we get lost with is, yearning for harmony, yearning for peace, yearning for a sense of cohesiveness and direction. And I think that trying too hard to attain that is actually kind of keeps it at arm's length longer, all right? There's also a natural cycle or natural evolution to things that we have to take into account here, and also the apparent free will of people. Now, I think that free will is tinged with a certain amount of self-created destiny, or inherent to the idea that we're all one, and therefore we are listening to, at some level, to the pulse of the feelings and thought of spirit, or that which is source consciousness. Then maybe we are all doing the bits that we are needing to do. I think there are some exceptions to that rule, that we're not listening to that we're listening to other voices, we're listening to other ideologies, we're listening to other influences. And I think that's where we get into a real kerfuffle about, why isn't it that we are not pulling together, and facing these challenges together, whether it's the failing ecology of the planet, whether it's the corruption, whether it's the political situation, the banking, the financial, economic situation, which is so unfair and out of whack. Why are we not pulling together in the face of existential threats, at least apparently with this so-called virus, or other existential threats of any nature you can mention? But we are going through a very dysfunctional stage in human evolution, where all that dysfunction, all the hidden agendas, all of the unsavory things that we have not known about are now breaking the surface. They're coming, the boil is on, and anything that is what would be considered the impurities of that boil are rising to the surface and showing themselves. And most of us probably don't like it. We'd like to see it all just, go away or be in some way, shape, or form nicer, better. Well, you can opt out completely, and in a way that's dying before you die. Or you can say, okay, well, I'm just going to stay in a place of neutrality with everything, and to some extent that is a wise course, especially in an emotional full moon in Scorpio, where people are going, really deep into emotional either grieving or a sense of loss or a sense of yearning for something bigger than themselves. I think that's the keynote of Scorpio is I desire. And in this situation, it's sort of I desire to know and feel directly what it is like to be home, what it is like to be part of a deeper, more meaningful sense of self-empowerment, union, merging, Pluto being power and transformation and all that stuff. One of the rulers of Scorpio, the other one's Mars. It's like, take what you want, acquisition. And what hit me today, or hit me this afternoon, is a sense of deep grieving of the fact that what I have been watching and looking at ever since my Kundalini awakening is a divergence, and the divergence is between those who are essentially siding with materialism and siding with hi James, hi Rebecca and Lynn, and siding with materialism and siding with the intellect and siding with the idea of trying to sort this out technologically, trying to sort all this out with some sort of medical miracle, trying to sort all this out with some sort of amazing philosophy that's just going to transform the world. But if we're constantly sniping at each other because we're parroting what other people have embedded in our consciousness, then we are going to get bullying. And why are we going to get bullying? Because on social media you will get bullying, because the platform's algorithms are designed to create static, because that makes Facebook money. All right, that's what makes Twitter money. I mean, gosh, I think President Donald Trump's probably created more revenue for Twitter in the last 4 years than anybody prior. Maybe, hundreds of, maybe thousands of people prior never created so much revenue for Twitter as Donald Trump has. So we have to understand the nature of the context of the fishbowl that we're playing in here. Otherwise, we're going to lose the plot entirely. But because of that, it's bringing that thing to a boil. It's bringing all this to a boil, and it's creating a sense of disproportionate polarity. But that disproportionate polarity is part of what needs to happen. I think back in I don't remember if it was the book of Revelation or the prophecies that Jesus made in the book of Matthew, something to the effect that separating the wheat from the chaff, all right? Bringing that which is good forward and saving that, and that which is, the detritus, the leftovers, the things that are no longer useful, burning those up. And we're going through a burning, and we will be going through this burning for a decade, maybe even longer. So when we are looking for unity and we're looking for harmonization with our fellow man and woman and with nature, it has to start with where you are, yes, and you have to make a choice. All right, the choice is, not about taking sides politically, not about that, that's all dualityism, that's all dualism. Taking sides politically, taking sides financially, taking sides economically, taking sides spiritually, okay? One of the biggest dangers is spiritual ego, spiritual significance. I know better and you don't, okay? I know something that you don't. That's not going to work. That's not going to work anymore. We can't put on a front of being the all-wise, all-knowing guru and get away with it. Let's show up as our messy human selves and accept the fact that, perhaps we've over-intellectualized our existence. We have overwrought our personas to the point where we don't recognize what it's like to feel oneness with each other, much less with nature or with the planet. And the process, okay? So there's a split going on. You either choose alignment with life or you don't. And there's no judgment in that. There is no punishment in that. This is about just understanding that this is a process. Nature goes through this process over and over again. This planet has gone through so many cycles of extinctions and a resurgence of life in a new expression. And that goes on throughout probably the cosmos. I would assume so. As above, so below, as within, so without. We go through that in our evolutionary journey. What was important to us 30, 20, 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, isn't as important as it was then, now. Okay? Not as important now. Not as essential to our well-being as it was maybe in those times. And we long for those. When things get stressful, we long for what seemed normal. But it wasn't always great. Okay? So what I would recommend or suggest here is go within as much as possible. When difficult emotions arise, when difficult thoughts arise, when you see yourself or other people getting beat up or bullied on social media, or you see people attacking each other in press, or I think they set these things up on Fox News and MSNBC where you get one guy for a thing and one guy against a thing, and they just go at each other and get really noisy and noisy and noisy until finally you just kind of go, this is just noise. There's nothing really being said that's got any heart or wisdom or compassion in it. Switch it off. Turn it off. Opting out here is also part of the choice. What are you going to tune into if you tune out of something? All right. All the controversy about coronavirus, I think, is interesting. It can be, how should we say, a form of distraction, in a way. So one of the things that I would recommend is think about, or tune into, or sit down and write out what your version of heaven on earth would look like. What it is that you would like to experience, what you would enjoy gifting to others for their experience. Focus on that, okay? Focus on that for a bit. Think about it. Write it out in some sort of detail. Write a story. Hello, Irene. Appreciate you coming by. Write out a story of what you think your idea, your vision, your version of heaven and earth would look like. Create a personal one and create an overall collective one, okay? Then make a commitment to follow that and follow Spirit and follow Mother Earth, Sophia Gaia, without hesitation, with each and every breath, with each and every step. And consider that the rest of what is going on right now, not from a lofty superior than thou view, everything that is going on right now is a form of entertainment and an educational process. Because the more that you research on your own, the more that you delve into things on your own, the more you connect your own dots. And then if something doesn't work and something doesn't make sense, stop and go into your spirit and say, what am I supposed to do with this? And listen for the answer. Feel the answer. Don't think it. Don't get stuck in the left brain loop. Stop and say, what do I do with this? The answer might not come for a few minutes. It may not come for a few days, and it may show up in a way you least expect it, all right? But be open to that. Be open and patient to that. So that's the trick with that, okay? So it's really, really a helpful thing to realize that there's nothing wrong with it, with what is happening in terms of the seeming separation, or it looks like a separation. It's more of a sorting out process, if you will, a reconciliation and a reckoning all in one. Because we have decisions to make. We have a choice of what it is that we would prefer to have in our experience in our life and for this planet. This is our puzzle to solve. There's no, the space people are not going to come and save us, all right? If they offer that, or they try to impose it, then that isn't really of love, is it? Because that's crossing a boundary. That's not respecting a boundary. It's not respecting your free will, my free will. And so how it works in the universe is you ask for assistance from the highest possible point within yourself, and whatever is appropriate will appear when it needs to appear. And I think that's one of the best things that we can do for ourselves and do for each other. Recognizing with compassion that if somebody disagrees with you, fine, just let them have their experience. And say, I recognize you as part of the divine that's in me, but I don't have to agree with it, and I don't have to listen to it, all right? And that is the choice. That is your choosing, to step back and say, have a nice journey, thank you so much, and wish them well, and disengage. And that is kind of a way it's going to have to happen regarding this culture, and regarding the fact that every moment of every day that you spend online, we are being herded. We are being attuned to someone else's vision of what they think the world should look like for their personal benefit. And that's not going to work anymore. That is not okay, right? Okay. So if you have any questions about this, or you want to make comments, comment all you want. If you have any suggestions of what you would like to me address or talk about in the coming weeks, every Tuesday and Thursday, then please let me know. Oh, hello, I haven't seen Renee in a long time. Hi. Yeah, so if you came in at the tail end of this, take a few minutes to take a listen to it, and if you find something of value, great. If you are curious about working with me in terms of evolutionary astrology or mentoring, spiritual mentoring, please get in touch. PM me or go to isaacgeorge.com. And, together we're going to get through this. Together. And we're already together. But, do not impose your views or your perspectives on what people should do and how people should think and how people should feel. You're just going to create misery. And never, ever try to convince a closed system of something, or they will turn around and attack you. What I mean by a closed system, somebody whose belief system and ideologies are set in concrete and they don't want to look at anything else. Another term for that is, here's the truth, here's the facts, and it's like, no, that's not what I'm going to accept. That's not, I don't believe that. Then fine, that's cognitive dissonance. So, yeah, I think that just about sums it up. So we're going through a separation from the old world and the old way of doing things, millennia of distortion and predatory behavior and, predator victims kind of stuff. We're going to have to come out of that. We're going to have to grow up. But we're also going through a split of souls that are so in fear or so dependent or so lost that they are going to choose what obviously may not be in their highest and best interest, and you have to allow that to happen, even if they're members of your own family and loved ones. And that is just the way of it, okay? Anytime you try to push on that, even if you pray for them to change their mind, you are invading their space and their choice. I know we don't think of it that way, but it's not easy. It's not easy letting go of the attachment, especially for those that you feel strongly about. It's not easy. But transpersonal compassion and vertical positioning is a very, very difficult thing to learn when you've been brought up in conditional love and codependent relationships. Start with a family, usually. So staying present with yourself, staying present with nature, spending some time out in places like this, you know, trees, birds, flowers, cats. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. So, sit down with that tablet. Use a pencil or a piece of, you know, a pen and a piece of paper and write out what your vision is of heaven and earth. For yourself, for those who you care about, and for the planet. And just start working that and realize it's a work in process. You may change your mind about certain details as time goes by. This is not a manifestation technique or tool. This is a artistic process of the soul. All right? All right, that's all for me today. Thank you for joining me at episode 2. Episode 3 will be next Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. British Summer Time, which is 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time and 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. I appreciate you tuning in. Please send me with any questions or comments you want to express. They're all welcome. Thank you, and have a great rest of the afternoon and a good weekend, all right? Take care. Thanks. Blessings on your journey.